We use thousands of words every single day, but have you ever stopped to think about the heavy lifting some of the simplest ones do? Well, today we're going to put just one, a simple four-letter word right under the microscope. It's a word you probably use without even thinking about it, but as you're about to see, it holds a pretty amazing secret about how language really works. So that really is the big question for today, isn't it? Just how much meaning, how much action, how much stuff can you pack into one tiny four-letter word? I think the answer is going to surprise you. Let's dive in and break this thing down. First up, let's look at our word slip as a verb, an action word. And right off the bat, you're going to see it's a total workhorse. It describes a whole bunch of different kinds of movement. Okay, so let's start with probably the most common meaning you can think of. Picture a subtle, kind of uncontrolled slide. It's not some big dramatic fall, but that small, smooth movement where an object just glides along a surface. And this example, wow, it just paints the perfect picture, doesn't it? You can see it in your head right now. The hat isn't just falling, it's slipping. It's that slow, smooth slide. The word slip just captures that specific, gentle motion in a way nothing else really can. Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. This second meaning is all about intent, or really the complete lack of it. This is the slip of an accident. It's that sudden, heart-stopping moment when you lose control. I mean, we've all been there, right? This sentence is just instantly relatable. And that word slipped is so important here. It tells you everything about the lack of grip, that sudden loss of balance, and the immediate danger. It's such a physical, powerful use of the word. All right, so we've got a gentle slide, we've got an accident, and now for our third meaning, things shift again. This time, there is intent. This meaning introduces purpose and, stealth. It's all about being sneaky. Yeah, this is a perfect example. Slipped here means you're moving on purpose, but the purpose is to not be seen. You're not just walking, you're moving quietly, smoothly, trying to fly under the radar. So think about that. The exact same word can describe a clumsy accident and a deliberate, stealthy action. How cool is that? All right, so slip is clearly a super versatile verb, but that is only half the story. Let's switch gears and see what happens when we use it as a noun, as a thing or an idea. First off, a slip can be a mistake. And this is just brilliant, right? The connection here is so clear. Just like a physical slip is a small, uncontrolled movement, this kind of slip, like a slip of the tongue, is a small, uncontrolled error. The physical meaning gives the abstract one its power. And then, of course, there's this one. Something you can literally hold in your hand, a slip of paper. Like a receipt, a little note, maybe a voting ballot. It's a small, thin piece of paper, one that's pretty easy to, let slip through your fingers. And for our last one, we've even got an entry from the world of fashion. A slip is a simple undergarment that helps a dress or skirt hang just right, something that literally slips on easily. So let's just step back for a second. With just one tiny four-letter word, we've covered actions, mistakes, little pieces of paper, and even clothes. So that brings us to the real heart of it. We've seen slip do the job of a verb and a noun, covering at least 6 totally different meanings. So we have to ask, why this word? What is the secret here? How can one word do so much? And this is the answer. This is the key to the whole thing. The word slip is on something called the Basic English 850 list. This means it's officially considered one of the most essential, foundational words in the entire English language. So, what exactly is that list? So let's dig into that, because this concept is really the secret sauce behind our little word's big power. The Basic English 850 isn't just some random list of words, it's a whole system, and it was designed very carefully. See, the whole idea behind Basic English was pretty straightforward. Create a simplified version of the language that's much easier to learn, but is still powerful enough for clear everyday communication, especially for people learning English as a second language. The whole philosophy is about getting maximum impact from a minimum number of words. And that number, 850, that's the magic number. Think about it. Out of the hundreds of thousands of words in English, this system boils it all down to just 850 core words. To make it onto that list, a word has to be an absolute MVP. Incredibly useful, incredibly versatile, just like slip. And when you lay it all out like this, it just clicks. Slip fits the profile perfectly. It works as a verb and a noun. It carries at least 6 common, distinct meanings. It's the very definition of a high-impact, multi-purpose word, which is exactly what you'd want for a core vocabulary list like the Basic English 850. So what's the big takeaway from all this? From our little deep dive into just one word? Well, it brings us to a really powerful idea about language itself. It's really this. We often think that big, complex ideas need big, complex words. But words like slip prove that's just not true. The most essential words, the ones that made that basic English list, they're powerful because they're simple and flexible and just jam-packed with meaning. They are the absolute bedrock of how we communicate. And that, of course, leaves us with one last big question to think about. If a simple word like slip can hold this much power, what about the other core words we use every single day without a thought? Words like get, or run, or set. It really makes you realize that hidden inside our most basic vocabulary is a whole universe of complexity and power, just waiting for us to notice.